No, like literally,
Everett is still out. Who
I've
plays
never heard
shortstop
of
for
this
them?
guy. Maybe he's an outfielder. I don't know. But on the Padres didn't play, and
Oh, didn't play. Okay.
no, he did not play.
Oh, so like maybe like a September call up that like no one's ever heard of.
I guess I don't know. But there are some fishy lineups out there, and we've had some success on Tuesdays this month. So hopefully we can
Yes.
continue on. So without further ado, Davis, I'll let you kind of take it away, bruh.
All right. Well, yeah, it's Free Money Tuesdays, so I'm probably gonna play. And like, I haven't got to look at baseball very much. I have a shell FanDuel lineup. So that's what I'm doing right now. I don't know, Derek. How do you feel? There are a ton of good pitching options today. I feel like that's sort of where the biggest edge is going to come from today.
Yeah, tonight is like the reverse last night, where last night there was like no pitcher you were excited to play, and it ended up working out well. Those of us who played, me and Laffy, and we did really well last night despite the gross looking slate, but tonight is just like there's too many options.
Yeah, for sure. Who do you think are you most excited to pitch tonight?
I'm gonna get made fun of so much, and Laffy has already been like, dude, you can't really play this guy today. But Robbie Erlin.
Yeah, explain that.
Mostly just because when you adjust for course field, Colorado is so bad. And when you put them in Petco, they're even worse. So you're going to have a guy like Erlin, who isn't a bad pitcher. He's average or a little below average, throwing at home in a great park against a really weak offense. And he costs about half of what David Price does on DraftKings. Like, that's just value that's so hard to pass up. I mean, if he doesn't pitch well, you're basically done because a lot of pitchers are going to do well tonight. But I don't know. I think I haven't like finalized it yet, but I really want to decide to play on Robbie Erlin tonight. The other thing is that he has a nasty curveball, like a big 12-6 hook, and that's not a kind of pitch that you see perform well in course field. So Rockies aren't necessarily as accustomed to seeing a pitch like that. Because of what the Colorado air and everything does to curveballs. So they go into San Diego, and that thing is going to be moving.
I just don't know. I just don't know if I can justify using Robbie Erlin. But there are a lot of really good pitchers. I mean, just looking right at our lineups page. I mean, Bumgarner, Greinke, even Shelby Miller against this Cubs lineup. Alex Cobb against the Red Sox, your boyfriend Alex Wood, Garrett Cole against a swing-happy Braves team, Cole Hamels. What are you doing, Derek? What are you doing?
I'm still waiting for a couple lineups to come out. Like the San Francisco LA lineup are going to be important because Greinke and Bumgarner are two of the best options tonight. David Price is probably my top guy right now. I mean, he hasn't been great since leaving Tampa Bay, and that's partially because of the catchers that he's losing, partially because of the defense that he loses. But a lot of it's been bad luck. And tonight he's up against a pretty bad, whatever they're called, Chicago lineup. So I think he looks like the most expensive pitcher today, I'm pretty sure. Oh no, Felix, but Felix isn't in consideration. Non-Felix division, Price I think is the most expensive guy today. But he's a guy that I'm thinking about paying up for because I don't know, I think he's might be the best option at this point of this group. But it really kind of is splitting hairs between like him, Greinke, Bumgarner, Hamels, even Mike Fiers and Garrett Cole. So it's kind of just like everyone's just clustered so closely today. A lot of it might just wind up being dictated by price, which guys are cheapest on the site that you're playing, and kind of mashing them together that way.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
what's really tempting for me is just to pick one of those expensive guys and pair him with Robbie Erlin and then get a big boost with hitting.
just the way lineups are coming out tonight, do you feel like you need that boost? I mean, or are there some value options that you like? I mean, just for example, looking at this Rays lineup, David DeJesus against Clay Buchholz. I know Buchholz has been better, but just going through lineups, it seems like there are a fair amount of sort of cheap hitters against bad pitchers. Alex Presley against Nick Martinez is another one.
Yep, there are definitely some value guys. I went through and just for the heck of it, saw what an optimal lineup would look like with Price and Greinke in there, and you get some pretty good punts. David DeJesus is probably going to be in my lineup no matter who I play because he's such a good play and such a good value. But you have guys like Dan Robertson leading off for Texas tonight. You have Matt Dendecker leading off for the Mets. You have Justmeal Pinto in the lineup for Minnesota. Adam Rosales is in the top 4 for Texas. So there's definitely some value plays to be had tonight if you do go the expensive pitching route.
How bummed is Adrian Beltre that these are his teammates? Like, how bummed is he that Jake Smolinski is right behind him and Adam Rosales is hitting in the 3-hole right above him?
I would love to see I don't know, a video snapshot, like a 5-minute video of just Adrian Beltre at the start of the year talking with a psychologist and just how his state of mind must have deteriorated as the year went on and all these guys started being terrible and going on the disabled list because they started off with such a good offense with Prince Fielder and Mitch Moreland, and Chiu was supposed to be good and Rios was supposed to be good, and there's just nobody left.
Yeah, every Sin-Shu Chu injury just took it out of him a little bit more. Just every at bat where he just flailed at some fastball 3 inches off the plate, he just why is this my life?
Yeah, you got to feel bad for the guy.
All right, just looking at some of these high price pitchers, because I know you don't really play on FanDuel a lot, but I think for Free Money Tuesdays, that's sort of the more optimal site to play on because you can see people's profiles and stuff. You can join 3-mans with people who don't have a surplus of wins. Not that necessarily is always. That's obviously not always an indication of overall skill level or anything like that. But it is.
There's
a
going to be a
context
correlation,
clue.
I would have to think.
Yeah. So, just looking at bat right now, Greinke's up there, Price, Bumgarner, Hamels. I think Hamels would sort of be my preference thus far.
Yeah, I think it would probably be... It's probably Greinke for me right now, but that could change once we get lineups from that game.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Although, this Miami lineup without Stanton...
It's bad.
It's so bad.
Jeff Baker is batting cleanup.
Yeah, but he has the BVP though.
Does he really? That's got to be why he's there then.
I actually don't know. I'm assuming though because I saw Drew and Dean were talking about it on Twitter earlier, so I assume that's why. I haven't looked at the BVP page in quite some time, but I have to assume that's the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and really, you're splitting hairs tonight. You look at my projection system, the bat, and you have Greinke, Price, Bumgarner, Hamels, all within a quarter of a point of each other on FanDuel. So it's kind of just take your pick, and that's kind of why I'd lean towards Greinke, because he's one of the cheaper ones of that group.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm still arguing with Dan. This conversation is just going to kill me. It is just going to absolutely kill me.
Davis, we're talking about baseball for the next 45 minutes, okay? Ignore this silly football nonsense and get your head on straight.
No, I'm not. I refuse. I do want you to talk about your boyfriend Alex Wood tonight because I actually think that we're going to have a different opinion there. So that lineup has 9... well, I guess, does Garrett Cole bat righty? They have 9 right-handed bats in there, including Mercer second. What do you think about Alex Wood tonight?
I think they have Snyder in there batting 8th, so 8 righties, but I'm not about that tonight. Not with so many other options. I think he's not going to have the platoon against any of those guys. Those righties are getting out of PNC, which kind of destroys their power, so now they're in a better park for that. And Wood is he's too expensive and he doesn't profile well enough in this matchup to really be in consideration. He looks like the 10th guy for me right now, and that's just not good enough on a night like tonight.
Yeah. No, I think that's probably fair. I don't know. I don't know what answers we can give people about these pitchers. I really feel like it's going to be something that people just have to decide on their own. Their projections are just so close, and so are a lot of...
Yeah, they're so close. You could go either way with any of them. So it's just, for me, I think it's a matter of pricing because they are so closely projected together. you just take whatever extra cash you can get, you play the cheapest one, and you go from there.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that. Like just letting price dictate it. Just looking at Vegas right now, Green Key does have the best projected run. San Francisco is projected to score the least runs by the Vegas run total. So for whatever that's worth, does that sort of vibe with? I mean, that is actually what Batman is saying right now. Is that it has Green Key top?
Yeah, it has Grant. Well, it it has Erlin at the top right now. That might change a little bit, but he's only up there by a hair. But of the main guys, Greinke is the top one, and that's one of the reasons why I like Erlin, because the matchup is so good. Like, he's not anywhere near as good as these guys in terms of like underlying skill set, but when you consider the matchup, it's a really good matchup.
Yeah. No, I think that it is. Also, what do you, I mean, I know that you absolutely hate this, but what do you think about the fact that Colorado has a worse OPS on the road than the Padres do, like as a team?
Yeah, I thought I heard someone say that. I don't like home road splits like that, but they basically, in this case, bring you to the same place that I would get to doing a more complex analysis, which is that on the road, the Rockies are awful.
They're never going to win.
Eric
They're never
Stoltz
going to win
dominated them
anything.
last night.
They are like the Rockies. Like, don't you think it's just sort of impossible to build a winning baseball team with that home field, because it doesn't it sort of take away home field advantage to an extent?
Um,
I feel like it does, because
to a certain extent, and there's been some studies done where when the Rockies go on the road, like their bodies take like a longer time to adjust, so like they do worse on the road than you'd otherwise expect a team to do. So like they have like an away field disadvantage basically.
yeah, and like so that just seems brutal to me. Like, how could they ever build a pitching staff that would be like you wouldn't, if they in the playoffs, if it came down to it, like in a divisional series, they would not want home field advantage, because that adds so much unpredictability to the games.
Yeah, it can. I mean, it's kind of hard, like, because it's not like your opponent has to play the games in the field too, and if you're used to it, then maybe you have an advantage over them. Like,
Well, I'm just saying that it adds volatility.
it definitely can add some volatility, I think.
Yeah, so I don't know. Not that that has any sort of impact on our life right now, but whatever. I don't know. I like nights like this where there are so many pitchers always frustrate me. Like, I just feel like whatever choice I make is going to end up being wrong.
Yeah, my choice really is coming down to basically there's two options. You go with two high-priced guys on DraftKings, or you go with a high-priced guy in Erlin. And you can wind up screwing yourself either way, because if you spend big on the pitchers and even one of them just has like an okay game or a bad game, you're in trouble because a bunch of the other guys are going to do well. But if you go with Erlin and he does poorly, then you could also be in bad shape because there's so many good pitchers going. But at least with him, you have some bats that can maybe compensate. So I'm kind of going back and forth.
Yeah. I don't know. Does anyone have questions in the chat about pitchers? Like, I feel like this is sort of an ideal time if anyone has any like pitch type questions or anything. For Derek, I don't know. What do you? I think there is. I think in a tournament, I think Erlin is like an awesome tournament pitcher, because, like someone just said in chat, you can get all of the Detroit bats versus Scott Carroll.
Yeah, in a GPP, absolutely, you need to run an Erlin lineup out there. That's not even a question. I'm like debating for my cash team if he's going to be on there.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. Are there any other pitchers that you want to talk about? We can just start talking about hitters.
We can move on to hitters. I mean, the pitching, there's like 10 legitimate options. I mean, you could probably whittle it down to 5 or 6 right now, but it's kind of just, flip a coin.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's do hitters. Let's start talking about stacks. Who do you like?
In terms of stacks, I think it's going to depend a little bit on the way you go with your pitching. Like, if you decide to... Overall, the Tigers are the best stack tonight. Scott Carroll is awful. The Tigers are going to stack a lot of righties. So if you wind up going cheaper on pitching, it's going to be easier to fit those Tigers bats in because they're relatively expensive. But if you go expensive on pitching, then you're not going to necessarily be able to fit the Tigers. So you might wind up on a stack like like a mini Texas Rangers stack because they have a really good matchup and their players aren't that good, so their prices are really cheap. So you could wind up with like Beltre, Adam Rosales, Elvis Andrus, and Dan Robertson as like a little mini Texas stack on DraftKings if you go two big pitchers.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. I think, I mean, not that this is going to surprise anyone, but I would much rather have Houston bats against Martinez than I would have Rangers bats against Oberholzer. I know that they have the platoon, but I feel like when Martinez is bad, he's bad in a way that allows a ton of home runs, like a ton of like high fantasy point type events.
Yeah, Houston bats are obviously, they're great too. They're probably, after the Tigers, they would probably be my next favorite stack today. The problem there is just that they are more expensive than Texas bats are. They're, I don't know, at least the guys that you want, they're kind of bordering on Detroit price tag territory.
Yeah. Okay. I think that I know that. Well, Oakland is going to be under-owned just because people are like, oh my God, Oakland is terrible. They can't get any runs. Billy Bean's an idiot. These guys aren't proven winners. This isn't fantasy baseball, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. But also, Wade LeBlanc is like so bad, Darren.
He's bad, yeah. He's real bad.
They're doing this weird thing with their lineup right now where they bat Sam Folds second against lefties. Why is that?
Because they're kind of out of options. They used to bat Craig Gentry there against lefties, and he's hurt.
So are they going to miss the playoffs? Like, is this going to happen? Is this going to be a thing?
I think they're going to make it in. I hope they make it in. I really want to see them take it down this year, but they're really kind of just trying to run out the clock here.
Someone needs to teach that Billy Bean a lesson. Sports are won by heart, by watching games. He doesn't even watch the games. How can he be a
maybe
good
that's
general
why Sam
manager?
Fold's batting second. I mean, if anyone has heart in this game of baseball, it's Sam Fold.
It must be it. Platoon splits, we don't even know what those are. Sam Fold has the BVP on Wade LeBlanc. He hit a home run off of him in the minors. At some point. Yeah. All right. Well, let's just go. That's a good transition to start talking about catchers because I think Derek Norris is an excellent catching option tonight, especially for the minimum on FanDuel. He sort of jumps out at me right away. Are you on board with that, Derek?
I kind of like Norris. I think he's probably one of the best options tonight, if not the best. I can definitely get on board with that. The A's in general, I don't love as much as you do. First, because of the platoon thing, and the other thing is that the park isn't very good. Whereas there's some bad pitchers in better parks going today. But at a position like catcher, I can get behind Norris. He is a little bit dinged up. He had his thigh thing. He has his shoulder thing. But for the most part, I like Norris. What I may prefer to do, though, is... like, I'm looking at his price on DraftKings. He's $3,300. And then I look at... can I get a price here? Yeah, I look at Justmiel Pinto, and he's $400 or $500 less. Against a really bad pitcher himself. So I may lean that way and just save some money. So I think those are kind of the two catchers that I'd be looking at.
Well, yeah, Pinto is awesome. And that they're actually finally playing him in a lineup, so that's cool. Mm-hmm. I was really tilted last night because the Mariners finally got a lefty, and then they were just like, nah, we don't need to play Mike Zunino. Like, why? Well, we'll play Jesus Sucre instead.
But here's the thing. Like, I know you guys love Mike Zunino, and, like, I think he's pretty good, too. Like, he's going to be a good player. But he's not usually a DFS option because even when he plays, they bat him 7th or 8th. So he's not like he should be in consideration when he's up against any bad lefty. Like, it has to be like a really particular slate for him to really be an option.
No, man, he's got rad power. That's all
He does, but when he's batting 7th or 8th, like, you lose so much value from the potential loss in plate appearances and RBIs.
You can bat 10th if you can hit a home run.
If you can guarantee he'll hit a home run, but you can't.
Yeah, I would have guaranteed a dong, bro.
I'd rather have a guy who has a slightly worse chance of hitting a home run on a per plate appearance basis and have him get an extra plate appearance.
That sounds like a lot of math, Derek. Are there any other catchers? Do you have anyone else you would like to recommend?
I don't want to do it, but
you're going to.
I haven't in so long. And the last baseball show, I'm going to say his name again. Brian McCann, maybe. just because Ubaldo Jimenez is so awful, and forget it. Forget I said anything. No McCann.
No, do it, dude. Because
No,
it doesn't. You
I
don't
can't.
need the shift. Doesn't matter when the ball goes over the fence.
No, can't do it. Don't play McCann. It's tempting, but don't.
They're like, what are the
Especially
Yankees
since his
doing?
price hasn't even gone down. Like, he's been hitting well enough lately that his price is inflated again. He's not worth it.
They're batting this. Who is this Jose Perales guy who's batting ninth for the Yankees?
I have no idea. I saw his name before and I wanted to look him up, but I have no idea who that is. I don't think he's an option though.
No,
just
he's not.
because-
I just don't understand what the Yankees are doing with their lives.
I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't.
Okay.
I think they're just hoping that the season ends. They're going to close their eyes and hope it was a dream.
Hey, but Derek Jeter, the final homestand, he's just raking. He is raking. I mean, before this homestand, he had a -4 weighted runs created plus for the month of September.
What's he at now?
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, Jeter. Whatever. Jeter's Jeter. I don't have an opinion. Whatever.
That's a good seg to middle infield. What are you looking to do with middle infield tonight, Derek?
I think if you can fit him in, Ian Kinsler is going to be the guy you want at second base. Because Scott Carroll. That being said, I could also see Jose Altuve. I can definitely see Brian Dozier. Brian Dozier might actually be my favorite guy, especially on DraftKings where he qualifies at shortstop too. Andrew, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Chaffin, really bad pitcher. Dozier's going to have the platoon against him, the home field. He's relatively inexpensive, multi-position eligibility. Dozier's pretty much locked into my DK lineups tonight.
Yeah, I think that is probably the optimal way to do it. Ian Kinsler did the rare thing where he got negative points on DraftKings yesterday.
What did he do? He got on base with a fielder's choice and then got caught stealing.
That's exactly what he did. That's like the only way you can do it on DraftKings. But yeah, he actually got negatives.
I would want to kill myself if that happened because that's one of the reasons I love DraftKings too. Is because very rarely do you actually get negative points. Like sometimes a guy goes 0 for 4 and then he gets an extra at bat in the 9th inning, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm playing on FanDuel. I don't want this guy to come up again.
That's how
out.
Jordan Case, my roommate, lost the $5 GPP on FanDuel last week. That way he was winning, and then Robinson Cano came to bat in the 9th and made an out, and it moved him down.
I don't like losing points for outs. I think it's stupid.
Yep. I don't know. Middle infield, especially this time of the year, when they're... I mean, how many of these middle infield guys are just, straight call-ups, filling in? Middle infield is gross right now.
Yeah, it really is. Elvis Andrus is another guy that I'd definitely be looking at because from an individual matchup standpoint, it is a really good matchup for Texas. Brett Oberholzer is not good. He's going into a really bad park. Andrus is batting second in a lineup. He's going to have the platoon. So I think Andrus is a really good play, especially on FanDuel. I'm pretty sure he's still really cheap there, like $2,300 or something, right?
Yeah, I believe that he's pretty cheap. I don't have salaries right in front of me.
Yes, he's something like that. He's cheap, and he's a good play.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think of some other guys in the middle of the field. I mean, I would use... Tampa Bay is doing this weird thing where they're batting... they just change their batting order up all the time, but if any of the middle infielders there were up higher, I would like them for tournaments. I do. What do you think about Nick Franklin?
Nick Franklin, where's he batting tonight?
He's batting 6th. I've used him a couple times while he's been cheap on DraftKings. I don't know. I think I hate Buchholz maybe more than I should because he'd been so bad for so long, but maybe he's kind of figuring it out right now.
Yeah, Buchholz isn't awful. He's not someone that I would want to pick on, but I have no problem playing a couple Rays against him. Like DeJesus is going to be a great play tonight. He's definitely going to be in my lineups. 6th isn't ideal for Franklin, but Franklin's a pretty good player. He was a legitimate prospect. He struggled when he comes up to the major league level, so he's still figuring things out. But he has a good hit tool. He's got a little bit of speed. Probably not an option for me tonight just because of the batting order and because there's better matchups out there. But I could see him as like a GPP guy maybe. And going forward, I think he could wind up in some potentially favorable matchups over the next week.
Okay. Are there any other middle infielders that you would like to mention to the listeners?
Um, no, I think I covered my guys. Dozier, Kinsler, Andrus.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Does David have any middle infield options? I know David's going pretty hard after no, that's a no. David doesn't have any. He's keeping his lineup to himself tonight. I know you guys turned into this show for David Kitchen hot takes, but you're not going to get any today. Okay. Well, let's do the corner spots then. I think first base is really interesting tonight. I think there is like a ton of different ways you can go with first base. What are you doing?
I forgot. I think Jake Smolinski qualifies at shortstop
He
on
does on
DraftKings
DraftKings.
still. Yeah, so he's got. Oh wow, he's 4,100 though. That's way. Never mind. Way too expensive. You can get Kinsler for $200 more. Okay, so corner spots then.
Yeah. First base. Who's your favorite? I'm assuming you're working Miggy in.
It's got to be Miggy. I mean, Scott Carroll is just awful. Miggy is far and away the best option. Victor Martinez, he's still catcher on FanDuel, I think, right? But I know on
Yeah.
DraftKings he's first base. So those would be my first two guys, and I think I'm going to have a hard time not playing Miggy tonight. If I don't, then Chris Carter is definitely going to be an option, or I don't even know who else really. Probably a
All the
punt.
Chris Carters.
Yeah, maybe like a Ryan Rua punt or something like that. Yeah, but Miggy's almost certainly going to be in my lineup, especially if I do go with Erlin.
God, you love Robbie Erlin, man.
I
This is
have a hard time
Derek,
passing up
this
the
is
value.
just Derek Carty's seasonal love coming over.
No, not even. Like, I don't own Erlin in any seasonals. I just think he's the right play. He's like, he has a matchup good enough to put him in the tier of these guys, and he costs half the price. So, I mean, there's more variability, sure, but in the long run, variability doesn't matter a whole lot. You trust the process and you go with it, and you make money.
Yeah, man.
So-
Well, I definitely think that value is like super important. Like even if like median projections are like kind of far apart, they're like definitely the most important thing is to really nail that dollars per point projection. Like I definitely think that is the ultimate most important thing that you can do in a daily fantasy lineup. And I'm being super super sarcastic. So
I can tell.
I'm so guys, I've been mad at Dan Gaspar a lot in my life, but like my goat is gotten more than it's ever gotten because this time I'm actually right. Like I am actually right about this, so it's even more tilting. Okay.
I like that you imply though that all the other times you argue about things you're not right, but this time you are.
No, I've been wrong about some stuff before and just been stubborn, but like this time I actually am right. In terms of who I like at first base, I really do think Chris Carter because he's so good at hitting fastballs, and Nick Martinez throws his fastball like 65% of the time. I feel like he's a really good option at first base on DraftKings. Like what? Except I don't know. How do you feel about guys like him? In cash games this late in the year, like he's such a slugger. You're not getting an easy game against him. Like you're not going to get the 3-point game. You're either getting the 13-point game or the negative 1.25.
Honestly, I don't have a problem with him. I don't know if necessarily that's true where there's more variability just because it's late in the year. I think a good play is a good play. And while you don't want a lot of those types of boomer bust guys in your cash game lineup, if he's your one guy, I'm completely fine with that.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. Can you tell me? I think you're going to say this is wrong. I think Anthony Rizzo is a really good play tonight against Shelby Miller.
I do think Rizzo is a good play. I don't think he's a good enough play given what he costs and given the other options. Like, I would much rather have Carter or Miggy or Victor Martinez. Even probably, I don't know. I think it's going to be hard to pass on Miggy and Victor for the most part. And if you do, I think Carter is better than Rizzo. I think Rizzo is a good play tonight, but he's not an optimal play.
I think Victor Martinez is super optimal because, he has the platoon on Carroll. And Miggy and Martinez, etc., do not. And he'll keep the platoon all throughout the bullpen, which I think is
and it is
always
a bad
great.
bullpen. Yeah.
It is a super bad bullpen, as anyone who has ever rostered Chris Sale knows. Like, it's just, you're just sitting there watching every ball that's 4 inches outside with just fear, waiting for Jake Petricka to give up 8 runs and lose the Chris Sale win. It's super frustrating. What do you think? What do you think about rostering Jose Abreu and Avisail Garcia, or maybe even Diane Viciedo in tournaments, because Price has been so not, he hasn't been bad, but he's not been great as a Detroit Tiger.
If you want to do it in tournaments, you can, but it's not for me. They're not good enough plays. David Price, even though he's been bad, is still a good pitcher. And you're really just like hoping for like the 5th percentile outcome to happen if you're rostering those kinds of guys. And I think there's better GPP guys that you can go for.
I mean, I do know that Dave. I do know that the person who won the what was it called, the low ball on DraftKings, which was trying to get the lowest score possible. He scored like 170 points stacking against David Price. Like, he was he was trying to get the lowest amount of points possible, and he would have won the Gold Glove and the payoff pitch and the Silver Slugger by like 20 points.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
Price has been bad. A lot of it's been bad luck. Some of it has been a bad shift in contextual factors that are going to continue. But for the most part, he's still a really good pitcher.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, he is. Someone just... Oh, yeah, let's talk about third base. For me, I think Donaldson is my dude tonight against Wade LeBlanc. I think I'm working him in, using Miguel Cabrera at first base on FanDuel, and then using Donaldson at third base on DraftKings.
I like Beltre better. Donaldson would be my guy after Beltre. But Beltre's, he's in a better park, and he's a better hitter in general, and he doesn't have the lingering injury concerns that Donaldson does. So they're both up against bad pitchers, both have the platoon, but when one of them is in a great park and one of them's in a terrible park, and the one in the great park is healthier, I don't think it's a close call.
Yeah, for sure. But also Donaldson. Like, his name like goes into like a sweet little, daily fantasy joke. So like that means he's an optimal play.
Yeah, so that's basically, if you can fit Beltre in, you do it. If you can't, you're probably going to go cheaper with like, I don't know, Adam Rosales or like a complete punt, at least for me.
Yeah. Do you like Nick Castellanos at all? Like, I know he's been sort of like he's been good this year, but like he bats so low in the order that he just doesn't receive a lot of consideration.
Yeah, when you're batting 6th or lower, it's really hard to work your way into the conversation, especially when you cost what he does. He costs too much for where he bats in the order, and he just doesn't project highly enough. So, I mean, the individual matchup is a pretty good one, but I just can't get behind it.
Yeah. Gosh, I don't know. Do you want to talk about outfield? You want to do this?
I love the enthusiasm you're showing, Davis. Let me just point it out.
Okay,
I mean, you just seem so ecstatic to be talking about baseball today.
I'm not that tilted to be talking about baseball, but like it's been a long day, man. And FIFA came out, and I just want to play FIFA, Derek. I just want to play FIFA.
I just want to play fantasy baseball every day for the rest of my life. Is that so hard? Like,
you can play Score Sheet. You can play Score Sheet forever, can't you? Or Stratomatic.
Oh, I don't want to play Stratomatic or Score Sheet. I want to play DraftKings. I want to play daily fantasy baseball, and it makes me sad. And then your attitude makes me sad, Davis. Do you want me to cry on this show? Because it's going to happen.
Oh my God, more than anything. Yes.
Well, that perked him right up.
Yeah, Derek crying on this show would be a GOAT moment. Also, out of a favor to Derek, I have not mentioned Jordy Mercer, but I will say that you guys already know who is auto locked in to my nappy optimal lineups at the shortstop position. You better hope he doesn't do anything tonight, because I'm gonna blow up that Skype chat.
I don't think you have any reason to, though. You haven't touted him highly today. I mean, we skipped right over the middle infield positions without you mentioning him. You mentioned him earlier in passing when we talked about Wood, but that was it.
This awesome thing is that when Jordy Mercer like finishes the year with like awesome stats and like double-digit home runs from the middle infield slot with limited at bats, and like Derek is going to have to next year try and explain to people in seasonal fantasy leagues why they shouldn't take Jordy Mercer as a value play, even though he's awesome.
Believe it or not, I actually targeted Jordy Mercer in my National League only leagues this year as like a cheap starting shortstop option because just at bats in general are valuable in deep leagues. So like I liked Mercer, but like everyone was like they liked him even more. So like it should have prepared me for what I've went through this year with you and Jordy Mercer with the unnecessary love for a guy who's terrible and just gets at bats from the 7th and 8th spot in the order.
Dude, but he homered off Wainwright.
Oh, but he did. So yeah, Jordy Mercer hashtag awesome play
Hashtag GOAT.
Hashtag GOAT.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's do outfield, man. So something that just came up to me when I was looking at the bat was Jordan Schaefer was really high against Shafeen. What do you What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I put him into my optimal, and I think part of it is because Minnesota is projected to score a lot of runs in general against him. So any leadoff hitter, even without the platoon, is going.
Oh.
And they're getting into, and he's probably going to have the platoon against most of their guys in the bullpen. So leading off for
Derek, man.
Define only goes 3 or 4. What is Kitchen doing?
No one heard a word that you just said.
Oh, really? Did I cut out?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, you did.
Shit.
Oh, yeah. Derek, someone in the chat just asked who your top 5 pitchers were, and by someone, I mean our friend Kyle Cannon. Yep. Okay. Well, this is what we're gonna do for the rest of the show. I mean, you guys can just watch me fire off 140s for the rest of the show. It'll be probably more entertaining than Derek telling you why Jordan Schaefer is a good play. If that's what you guys want to do. Derek's now typing. Oh, he's saying that it's unfortunate. Kyle, man, what's up? Why would you golf instead of watching the show? You know that this is the most valuable information that you can possibly get. Oh.
Oh.
And now he's gone.
Why don't you tell people about why basically you think that Terry Douglas was a bad play last weekend?
He was a bad play because a bunch of the guys around him for 5,100 on FanDuel had better median projections from the system that I use, including Golden Tate, Allen Robinson, Brian Quick, and there was one other guy who had a better median projection as well. I need to pull salaries up. And then just looking historically at what he's done with Roddy White out of the lineup, even with a surplus of targets, he averaged like 7.
I'm gone for 2 minutes, and you're talking about Roddy White.
Derek, you're not really back. This is a ghost.
I'm on my phone. I figure this will work enough for the next few minutes, even though there's no video.
Yeah, just one quick sec, Derek. I will just say that you mentioned many different arguments. You have to stick to your argument, David.
No, it's just important to be an objective process and don't
right. But saying that someone
don't change your process based on the case and don't change your process based on the results.
But saying that someone is a bad play because there are better plays in that price range, that like
it was also due to the fact that Harry Douglas, when given the opportunities before, has been a low-end flex play, like best case scenario.
Right. So my point is, like, stick to that argument. Making the argument that someone's a bad play because there are better plays in that price range is not a valid argument. Because there can be multiple, like, players at a given price range. And because you have to pick 2 doesn't mean that the other 2 or other 3, however many other options in that tier for the same kind of expected output are bad plays. That's what I'm saying. Like you've got to tighten up your argument. And I feel like as someone who is who comes from the forensics background, I got to be honest, I expected more out of you.
Well, also when you guys just don't listen to my analysis that's good anyways, it's pretty frustrating.
No, like I heard your analysis, but it didn't really have anything to do with the topic at hand.
Okay, well let Derek talk about outfielders because that's what Papa Cub wants, and that's really all I care about.
Okay, so you asked me about Jordan Schaefer. Did you hear anything that I said about Jordan Schaefer?
We heard that, and then you said that you really were, and you're thinking about tonight, and that's what we heard.
Okay, so Jordan Schaefer I think is a good play tonight because Minnesota is projected to score a lot of runs against a really bad pitcher. So anytime you have a leadoff guy, even if he doesn't have the platoon advantage, anytime you have a leadoff guy who's going to be in a lineup that scores a lot of runs, he's going to get some benefit from that. And especially if they chase Chafin from the game early, they're going to get into that bullpen, which isn't very good. He's going to have the platoon advantage there. So I think people focus a lot of times way too much on the starting pitcher matchup when that's only half of the game or potentially less than half of the game if it's a bad pitcher. So Schaefer, for whatever he costs on DraftKings, $2,900 or something like that, $2,800. I think he's a good play tonight.
Yeah. Also, real quick, can you just tell Kyle who your favorite pitchers are tonight? Because he wants to know.
Kyle is so needy. Gosh.
He's being very needy right now. Also, he's just been straight trolling me on Twitter for like the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and did you see that picture of him last night with the
No,
ice cream?
just eating a little ice cream cone, just all cozy.
I think we should nickname him Giggles. Giggles.
It might be right.
Just because the way he looks in that picture is like, I just imagine his nickname was Giggles in high school. So, Giggles Cannon?
Some girl loved to call him Smiley in college.
All right, sorry. He's probably getting really impatient with us right now, delaying Cardi's answers.
Give the pitcher analysis, Cardi.
Oh, yeah. Pitcher analysis is basically, there's like 5 or 6 guys that are bunched up, and just pick the one that you either like because he's cute or because he costs less than the others or whatever tiebreaker you want to use. Me, I would lean towards Greinke as my first guy, but then you can also look at Price, Bumgarner, Hamels, Fires, even maybe Garrett Cole. And then on DraftKings, I am seriously considering pairing one of those guys with Robbie Erlin.
Word. Okay, well, who do you like in the outfield then, besides your homie Jordan Schaefer?
Besides my homie Jordan Schaefer, I think another really good...
I bet you in your system, Jordy Mercer has a better like underlying WOBA than Jordan Schaefer.
He might, but Jordan Schaefer is so good on the base pass. That's probably one of the other reasons why he's so high, because if he gets on base, he's going to be on base against... Oh, never mind, that doesn't make any sense. But yeah, he definitely... I don't know. He might be less than Mercer, but he steals a lot, so he's better.
So go.
Other outfielders I like. David DeJesus for $2,900 on DraftKings is almost like a must-play. He's so cheap for what his underlying skill set is, which is very talented. He's in a really good park against a pitcher who's not particularly good. He's batting second. Dan Robertson is another great punt, batting leadoff for $24K. So I think that's kind of the way I would be leaning towards with my outfield tonight, especially if I go heavy on the pitching. If I don't, then maybe I would try to work somebody like, I don't even know, like probably Chris Carter, since he has outfield eligibility there. I'd work him into my outfield.
Okay. I think Chris Carter is kind of a must on FanDuel, but I'm an idiot.
Yeah, and then obviously you're going to have like Torrey Hunter is going to be a great play. Maybe too much for what the pitching costs tonight. But
what about the homie JD Martinez? Because he has all that asteroid dust on him.
Yep, he's a good play too. Probably a top 5 outfielder tonight. Coco Crisp, if you're going the A's route. I like Crisp.
Remember when we would have loved Cespedes in this lineup? Like, we've been like, oh, dude, Cespedes against Wade LeBlanc, all of it.
Yep.
Oh, man, that's what they did it. They traded away the outfielder with a 303 on-base percentage, and that doomed him.
He's going to be like such a good play a lot of times next year, though, in Fenway, hitting against that monster. Like he's gonna be a nice play next year.
Yeah. All right. Do you wanna guarantee some dongs, dude?
Let's do it. You want to do yours first? You want? All right. Okay.
I mean, you can just predict mine.
Well, I think I'm gonna beat you to the punch. Honestly, my guaranteed dong of the night, like obvious, over the radar, whatever you want to call it, one is Jordy Carter.
No, okay.
Yeah, Chris Carter has to be the obvious one, I feel like. And then under the radar, maybe like, I don't know, JD Martinez. Is he under the radar enough?
No, he's not under the radar at all.
Okay, fine. You give yours, and then I'll find a better under the radar guy.
Okay, well, my over the radar guy is Chris Carter, and my under the radar one is Alex Presley.
Okay, how's this for under the radar? Kendrys Morales.
That is very under the radar because he is very bad.
He's not that bad, and he's got a good park shift going on.
Oh, he is, though. I also remember seasonal touts saying he was going to be like a top 15 first baseman for the rest of the way. Like,
yeah, that
was awesome. That was my... Seasonal baseball touts are just as bad as fantasy football seasonal touts at their job.
I'm not going to say anything about that.
Because you know that it's true.
No, because I would get in some trouble. And there are definitely some very good, I think, seasonal
Let
guys.
Davis have his absolutes.
Let me have my absolutes, because I'm incapable of thinking in a more intelligent and critical way.
No, you can think. You think in an intelligent way. Sometimes it's not like rational or logical, but like you do, like think intelligently.
Yeah, like in the way that like humans are capable of intelligent thought more than like monkeys are.
There you go.
Gosh. Oh, Cardi. I'm like honestly disappointed that baseball is ending just because I feel like you're just now like finally like kind of coming into your shell. Like
no, man, Cardi played football this weekend. He's about to be about this life.
Or, yeah, getting out of your shell. I guess not coming into your shell is not really a thing. But yeah, no, he's going to be with us throughout football and basketball season, and then baseball season is going to be insane next year.
Yep.
It's going to be absolutely insane. I really hope that we see some of these teams like embracing daily fantasy. I think they will. Because if you want to talk about the one thing that can really revitalize Major League Baseball as far as like a fan standpoint, it's daily fantasy.
They also apparently just started a commission to like make the games faster, which is awesome.
Yeah. Well, like in college, they're a lot faster.
Yeah, I don't. Does anyone watch college?
I do.
Basketball, baseball?
I do. You know why?
Because you're from the South.
And because Vandy has the #1 program in the nation.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they're anchoring down.
Right. They won the national championship.
Hey,
last year.
remember when they were beating South Carolina for like a quarter?
It was like a quarter and a half. It was right for the second. It was right for halftime when they threw the pick six. But I do remember. I was there. So that's football, though. I will say that living in the South, we actually do have manners. That's why Davis would probably not like fare well here. But during halftime, they recognized the baseball team for winning the national championship, and they presented them with their rings. And all of South Carolina's fans gave them a standing ovation and started chanting SEC.
You realize the head coach of my football team is like basically regarded as like one of like the nicest, most polite, most genuine human beings in the history of football, right?
That doesn't really have anything to do with this conversation.
Yeah, because you're just like, oh, I'm from the South. Like our football teams, our athletes are like way classy and great, and Davis is an idiot who hurls feces at oncoming people in traffic.
Once again, you're not really getting the gist of this conversation. What I was saying is more like the culture, like the fans, the SEC. They started chanting SEC. I really didn't like.
K-State is GOAT.
I wasn't talking about college coaches. Like
I'm not even a K-State fan, so
I don't even know where that came from. Oh, Davis. Slipping, bruh. You are slipping. Without those, it's like when players retire and they no longer practice. I feel like since you're no longer like doing the debate practices, like your game has started to slip a little. Don't worry, we're gonna help polish it up.
I mean, what's really happening is that a complete lack of sleep is making me really sensitive.
I will say that seeing Davis tilted is like it's for me.
It's one of the great joys in life.
It's almost up there with seeing Ben on tilt. Almost.
I mean, I understand that because tilting Ben is like it is almost better than like hard drugs.
And you have to realize that like that's something that I've been doing for like the past 20 years is just putting Ben on tilt and knowing exactly where his buttons are.
I've been researching soccer just so that I can start finding things to disagree with Ben about soccer. So I can be like, Ben, that's actually not true. He's more of an attacking mid than a defensive mid. And like I can't wait. I cannot wait to do that.
Oh gosh. Oh man. All right, so that will do it for today's show. Thanks to Davis Maddock, and the picture that Derek has as his profile picture is not quite up there with the Davis Maddock Christian Mingle pick, but it's such a Derek Carty pick.
I changed my my picture on FanDuel from a Christian Mingle pick to the FI logo.
Very nice, very nice. We need to have like some sort of competition where we give away a random something to someone that uses FI as their logo on FanDuel. Like that's what in the Bahamas when we went, there are all these like when you're traveling to the airport to this nice resort, there are all these cars that have I love KFC on the back. Like,
yeah, I would sell ad space on my car if I didn't drive a rust bucket. Someone broke into my car this weekend, like just broke the windows out, and I had to drive it home from my girlfriend's house, like in the cold. It was pretty tilting.
Anyways, so they did it because if you pulled up to or KFC, like they would just give out these KFC would be random places, and if you had their bumper sticker on, you'd get all this free stuff. So everyone in the Bahamas has these stickers that say I love KFC on the back of their car, which is kind of funny because it's Kentucky Fried Chicken. So maybe we'll do that with FI.
Thanks for the 85 emails, FanDuel.
And on that note, we'll see you tomorrow on the Daily Fantasy Show, sponsored by FantasyElite, the app that you get in the App Store. Later, guys. Oh yeah, tonight HBO, if you have it, Real Sports. They're doing the Daily Fantasy thing. So Davis, you might
where Drew comes on and Dave says maybe you shouldn't fade Kershaw tonight, and then Kershaw threw a perfect game that night.
Yeah, that night there'll be. Just look for the guy in the tie-dye
shirt with the bucket hat. Who I think I had a dip in too.
Yeah, so good stuff. All right, guys, we'll see you later.
Later.